Outside of the discourse, what are some things that the MAD movement is doing to remove some of these systemic injustices?
Yeah. So the MAD movement is operationalizing in pockets around the world through MAD Pride, which looks different in different contexts. Because again, when we talk structurally, being in Singapore last week, you have to serve in the National Army. You're conscripted between kind of 20 to 22 for 2 years. And up until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, if you identified as being queer, you were sent to the Institute for Mental Health for assessment. And even now that law has changed, the medical officer, one of the guys I met was telling me that the medical officer will still ask roundabout questions like, how do you feel about me? There's still a lot of operationalization of oppression and around homophobia, and that being a structural injustice and being medicalized as like an illness. It's still seen as an illness culturally and spiritually, and in the minds of kind of the Singaporean mind of still many people. So MAD Pride around the world is operationalized at the moment in Australia, more so through the arts and through comedy. So there'll be a lot of performances and comedic performances, lots of art events that will kind of seek to talk back to psychiatry, to the medical model, and talk about the abuses and harms that we experience as a result of the system. So iatrogenic distress and trauma, which is as a direct result of the system. Where it's not a trauma or distress that we've experienced in our own environment. It's one that we've experienced as a result of interacting with the person, which includes in therapy. Therapy can be harmful to people as well. I was involved recently with an organisation called Schizzy Inc., which is a MAD Pride organisation, and they ran a variety show. So there was dance, there was song, there was musicians, there was comedy and theatre, which I was involved in. And it was all kind of having a joke, having a laugh, very Australian as well, to like be able to have a laugh at some of the kind of just, jokes of the system, but also speak quite critically on the discourse. So I was able to kind of be a comedian or have a set around comedy and be my mum, and kind of run a manic depressive club in my Hawthorn West, home. And my husband was like, I was like divorced to my husband, who was like a prominent psychiatrist. And I was running this like Mad Studies reading club, and it was just a play on like class and psychiatry. And I was able to speak to a lot of the social justice issues and harms of the system in that particular performance. In other contexts, it looks like marching and protesting. So in America and Canada, they've had, and in some European and South American countries, there's been a real focus on MAD Pride hitting the streets and kind of protesting with signs and really raising the literacy around like the harms of the system to people. Which includes people just dying a lot younger, people experiencing more mental health issues as a result of accessing mental health issues, or people experiencing more mental health issues as a result of not being able to access any supports and systems. It really depends on the structural political context of the country, I think, in terms of what MAD Pride looks like. Even my own organisation, the Australian Centre for Lived Experience, tactfully, we're trying to push toward having a float in the Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras, the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras next year, where we're able to kind of, wear our, kind of stand up with our banners and our T-shirts, our kind of, fuck the DSM kind of T-shirts, and, oppression is not an illness, or, I have my cat team with kind of cats around an ambulance sign rather than like the crisis assessment team, in terms of like more personal medicine approaches. And even in America, like, the whole like defund the police movement is very aligned with the MAD movement, because it's all about like not having police respond to call-outs, particularly with Black Americans, where there's a lot of violence that's experienced, and a lot of those situations are where people are experiencing psychosis, and are often, many of them killed, or harmed in being secluded and restrained in rooms and injected involuntarily with medication to sedate them. A lot of serious issues in the system. And the system's under complete duress. So MAD Pride is all about raising awareness and literacy around those issues, and around sanism as well.